Hello, don't worry, I am not filming my recital from this angle. But I would like to speak before taking the stage because this past year that we've had has not been normal, and so too you will find this recital. I have framed tonight's program around the text Walden by American transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau, and naturally I am a glass half empty person. However, the parallels between this text and reflecting on the past year speak for itself. The life in us is like water in the river. It may rise this year higher than man has ever known and flood the parched uploads. Even this may be the eventful year which will drown out all our muskrats. The light which puts out our eyes is darkness to us. Only that day dawns to which we are awake. There is more day to dawn. The sun is but a morning star. Had you asked me a year ago, I would have said the water rising is anxiety and something that meant destruction, and the darkness would have been fear of the unknown. But if you ask me today, my view has shifted. I can recognize the ebb and flow as part of an ever-changing cycle, and one that we adapt to without much resistance. As an overarching work, Walden overtly reflects on the simplicity of living in a natural environment while maintaining underlying themes of self-reliance, self-discovery, and social experiment. Those themes truly resonate with me as a student and teacher today, and these topics from a work that is over 150 years old. Finally, the performance that you will be viewing tonight is what I have fondly come to refer to as a one-man band. As you will see tonight, I am performing without a live accompanist. We could say that this little figurine is a stand-in for my accompanist, Dmitri. And I also don't have any stagehands or tech support. So you will be able to find, for following along with this performance, a program guide that I sent out in an email, and it also will be linked below, and I will present it on the screen briefly, so you can just find that and follow along if you want to. You don't have to. But that being said, I really enjoyed the process of doing everything for this recital and the music making 10 times over, and I truly hope that you enjoy what I have in store for you in the next hour. The scenery of Walden is on a humble scale, and though very beautiful, does not approach to grandeur, nor can it much concern one who has not long frequented it or lived by its shore. Yet this pond is so remarkable for its depth and purity as to merit a physical description. one very calm October afternoon, for such days especially they, the loons, settled onto the lakes, like the milkweed down, having looked in vain over the pond for a loon, suddenly, one sailing out from the shore, set up his wild laugh. There can be no very black melancholy to him who lives in the midst of nature and has his senses still. There was never yet such a storm, but it was alien music to a healthy and innocent ear. The north wind had already begun to cool the pond, though it took many weeks of steady blowing to accomplish it. It is so deep. bassoon or recorder, the TW-41, or the Sonata in F minor, is for solo instrument and basso continuo, accompanying bass and harmony. With 4 movements in total, and over the years, publishers have made changes to the movements. For example, the first movement was originally titled Tristes, which is sad, while modern editions title it Andante Cantabile. The second movement is a lively allegro, followed by a singing andante leading directly into the upbeat vivace. What you will be hearing next was written about a decade or so after the Telemann, J.S. Bach. He wrote this sonata in E major for flute and piano. Of course, then it was for transverse flute and harpsichord. The key is important because for the modern flute, playing in sharp keys is no problem, but for the transverse flute, it was difficult for those types of flute in the Baroque era. So therefore, the weight of the accidentals and raised pitches is this tension and release. So you'll notice the ornamentation in the opening movement reinforces the strong, weak shaping of the phrases. The following movement is another brisk allegro, similar to the one in the Telemann, contrasted by a slow dance called a Siciliano, heavily featuring dotted rhythms, and the final movement is in a fast 3 with more ornaments and flourishes reminiscent of the first movement.
We aren't wont to forget that the sun looks on our cultivated fields and on the prairies and the forest without distinction. They all reflect and absorb his rays alike, and the former make but a small part of the glorious picture. To get into sailing trim and run a course or 2 before they make their port. The bullet of your thoughts must have overcome its lateral and ricochet motion and fallen into its last and steady course before it reaches the ear of its hearer. Else it may plow out again through the side of his head. books, we are in danger of forgetting the language which all things and events speak without metaphor, which alone is copious and standard. If one listens to the faintest but constant suggestions of his genius, which are certainly true, he sees not what extremes or even insanity it may lead him, and yet that way, as he grows more resolute and faithful, his road lies. Perhaps no one can say that the consequences were to be regretted, for these were a life in conformity to higher principles.
Jumping ahead into the 20th century. This piece blends the impressionistic music of French composers and the tonality and rhythmic complexity of Schoenberg. Suffice to say, this piece is complicated. What you are going to hear is a bit like a warped carnival mirror. Music heard in the opening sections will come back with a twist.
Our notions of laws and harmony are commonly confined to these instances which we detect, but the harmony which results from a far greater number of seemingly conflicted but really concurring laws, which we have not detected, is still more wonderful.
not take a 5-minute intermission. See you in 5 minutes. Welcome back. Staying in the 20th century, this piece starts with a cadenza-like introduction that centers around the note D. You may also remember this piece from last year on my recital, and it has transformed because it is good for demonstrating virtuosity and freeness in playing, which I think you'll hear an improvement from last year. And despite studying at the Paris Conservatory, Hébert didn't emulate any of the popular genres during the 20th century. In this piece, you'll hear how his style transforms multiple styles rather than honing in on just one.
But the bell rings, and I must get off the track and let the cars go by. Now that the cars are gone by and all the restless world with them, and the fishes in the pond no longer feel their rumbling, I am more alone than ever.
tonight's program, I would like to thank everyone. My home squad, my flute friends, Anna, Sophie, Patty, my new Montclair friends, and everyone who's tuned in to listen to me play this very unconventional recital. And so I want to especially thank my teacher, Wendy Stern, and I'm sad that we only got to be in person for a semester and some change, but there have been so many doors that you have opened for me, and I can't thank you enough. I'll admit I was scared of a lot of the music on this program, and of course, Wendy knew that I could play it all, and continued to be so kind and forgiving when I could not be that for myself. I would also like to thank the faculty at the John J. Cali School of Music at Montclair State. There's so many outstanding professors that I've made personal connections with in my 2 years, and I don't want to leave anyone out, but just know that your support has helped me get through my graduate studies and come out the side a better performer and educator. Now for the grand finale of tonight's program, the mammoth, that is the Prokofiev Sonata in D major. This work was originally written for flute, although there is a popular transcription for violin, and it requires endurance and virtuosity just from the very first phrase. And the opening movement starts out with this deceptively calm section before the really famous high D interjections. The second movement is this playful dance that's written in 3, but it's grouped in 2, giving this off-kilter or hemiola feel. And then the third movement is a return to the calm before the storm of the fourth movement, which is the most varied and is set into motion and is sure to invigorate you.
For sounds in winter nights, and often in winter days, I heard the forlorn but melodious note of a hooting owl indefinitely far. weathered some merry snowstorms and spent some cheerful winter evenings by my fireside, while the snow whirled wildly without, and even the hooting of the owl was hushed. The elements, however, abetted me in making a path through the deepest snow in the woods. For once I had gone through, the wind blew the oak leaves into my tracks, and not only made a dry bed for my feet, but in the night their dark line was my guide. attraction in coming to the woods to live was that I should have leisure and opportunity to see the spring come in. I am on alert for the first signs of spring, to hear the chance note of some arriving bird or the striped squirrel's chirp, or see the woodchuck venture out of his winter quarters. Early in May, the oaks, hickories, maples, and other trees just putting out amidst the pine woods around the pond imparted a brightness like sunshine to the landscape, especially in cloudy days, as if the sun were breaking through the mist and shining faintly on the hillsides.